A company can do everything right: manufacture an exceptional product, build a deeply loyal customer base, win every quality test, and still quietly collapse. The culprit is rarely a sudden wave of consumer hatred. Instead, the brand simply loses its relevance. A massive segment of the market moves on, and without any fanfare, they stop considering that brand as a viable option. Executive teams often spend decades fighting a preference war, obsessing over how to make their brand slightly better than the immediate competition. But being the preferred choice in a specific category means nothing if buyers stop wanting that category altogether. This slide into invisibility does not occur by magic. It is triggered by three highly specific, identifiable structural threats. Recognizing and navigating these three threats is the ultimate test of corporate endurance. It requires a strategic pivot, pulling resources away from the daily fight to win market share and focusing instead on making sure the company does not lose its reason to exist. The first threat emerges when an entire subcategory declines. Consumer behavior permanently shifts toward a new innovation or a different lifestyle trend. If a buyer decides they require an electric vehicle, a legacy automaker's reputation for building the world's best hybrid engines holds zero value for that transaction. The brand equity simply does not transfer. Companies have 5 distinct ways to respond. The first is to gain parity. When Starbucks threatened to capture the morning coffee routine, McDonald's introduced the McCafe line. It did not need to defeat Starbucks in a taste test. It only needed to be good enough to keep existing customers from walking out the door. The second option is to reposition the brand to align with the new trend. Bean built its early reputation serving a highly specific niche of hunters and fishermen. Recognizing that this group was shrinking, they successfully pivoted to become a broad outdoor lifestyle brand, adjusting their catalog for hikers and casual adventurers. The third, and most difficult, response is to leapfrog the competition. Instead of playing catch-up, a company can invent a completely new offering, bypassing the current trend entirely and forcing the rest of the market to respond to them. The fourth path requires profound discipline, sticking to your knitting. Rather than chasing a disruptive trend, a brand can double down on its original promise. Legacy watchmakers have largely ignored the rise of digital smartwatches, deliberately choosing to serve a dedicated niche that values traditional mechanical craftsmanship over digital features. The final response is to disinvest or exit. When a market permanently contracts, the most rational decision is often to withdraw capital and shift investments elsewhere, like legacy automakers entirely abandoning sedan production to focus on trucks and SUVs. Surviving a declining subcategory demands strict objectivity. A management team has to accept that the very product that built their empire will not necessarily be the one that sustains it. The second major threat to relevance is the sudden emergence of a reason not to buy. This takes the form of a highly visible product defect or an ethical controversy that creates a hard barrier for consumers. One mitigation strategy is to negate the negative with undeniable structural proof. When Hyundai struggled with a reputation for poor manufacturing quality, they bypassed traditional marketing. Instead, they'd introduced an aggressive 10-year, 100,000-mile extended warranty, forcing the market to reevaluate their engineering. Attacking a controversy head-on carries a severe risk. If the issue is highly emotional or ethical, presenting logical facts often fails to persuade the audience, and publicly fighting the accusations only serves to remind buyers that the problem exists. In those sensitive cases, the more effective mitigation strategy is to change the discussion entirely. A company can pivot the narrative by launching a massive positive initiative. By committing heavy resources to an entirely different social or environmental program, the brand overshadows the controversy, giving consumers a compelling new reason to engage. Overcoming a fatal flaw requires recognizing that you cannot always win the factual argument. True control comes from strategically dictating what the public argument is actually about. The third threat is entirely silent: the loss of brand energy. The product is not broken, and there is no public scandal. The brand has simply become tired, bland, and lost in the cultural clutter. When a brand loses that energy, it immediately loses its visibility, the baseline requirement for being considered relevant. In crowded marketplaces, if a company doesn't come to mind, it doesn't get considered. Companies rely on 4 specific tools to inject life back into a legacy identity. They launch dynamic product innovations, create high-impact marketing events, build programs that deepen customer engagement, or attach the brand to a signature social program with genuine momentum. Brand energy is not a permanent state that sustains itself. It is a vital, depletable resource that must be continuously manufactured to keep a company in the spotlight. Aggressively protecting a brand's relevance is often unglamorous work. It lacks the immediate thrill of launching a disruptive startup, but it serves as the foundation of long-term market dominance. Systematically managing these 3 threats is far more cost-effective than relying on the hope of inventing a category-defining product every few years. Surviving the relevance graveyard requires a specific set of organizational traits. A company needs strategic agility to pivot its operations, in-depth market knowledge to spot emerging trends, and the objective courage to recognize when market conditions are leaving its legacy products behind. A brand proves itself by delivering a successful product today, while maintaining the structural discipline to remain an option tomorrow.